So, welcome back, Jared.
Thanks for having me again.
Would you consider yourself a romance reader? Do you read much romance?
I've never really read a romance novel, and romance as a genre in my media. If it's like going to a restaurant, it can be a very nice side dish to whatever's going on in the main thing. Like a steakhouse can have really good mashed potatoes, but if I got a plate of just mashed potatoes, that probably wouldn't be what I get.
Okay, I would love that, but it also works for metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
So. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle books, movies, podcasts, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read. Or watch. I think they both work in today's case. So you're joining us in the middle of our spicy summer theme for August, where we are doing a special zoom in on romance. And this year, especially, we're kind of taking a look at preconceptions that we have of romance and the ways that they actually play out in stories. And more importantly, what kind of keeps us coming back to this very big part of many stories, this very big genre. I'm not doing this alone, though. As you heard in the intro today, I'm joined by my esteemed guest, Jared Friesen.
Thank you. It's finally not a video game.
Oh, it's true. You've been the video game guy until now.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you want to say to introduce yourself besides you're not the video game guy?
I am not just the video game guy.
Yes.
I'm a teacher here in Taiwan. This is actually the time of recording my 5-year anniversary in Taiwan.
Congratulations.
And I went to school for English with a creative writing focus too, but that also meant getting a big swath of different kinds of literature and written film writing, poetry, all sorts, just all across the board for it too.
Yeah. So now one thing that hasn't come up so much on our show where you have been the video game man is that I also kind of think of you as a Shakespeare guy. You have actually talked about one Shakespeare play before.
Macbeth, yeah.
Yeah, a tragedy.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the most tragedies of tragedies.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about romance, and it's not even a tragic romance this time.
Mm-mm.
What story have you brought for us today?
I have brought Shakespeare's Twelfth Night.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also believe there's a different subtitle that I'm forgetting right now. I think it's As You Like.
As You Like?
Yeah.
That would be fitting. So I actually hadn't heard about this play until when you pitched it as something that might work for this month, as we were kind of just discussing out in the world. And then as you started getting into it, I realized, like with many other Shakespearean things, I knew tropes from this show.
Play.
I guess so. It's a play.
Yeah.
I know tropes from this play without ever having seen the play. It's been adapted quite a lot.
More than you would expect to. But this is also just sitting here getting ready in the studio. I remember this is a romantic comedy.
A progenerative rom-com.
Yeah. My professor told me that the difference between Shakespeare's tragedies and Shakespeare's comedies are everybody dies at the end of the tragedy and everybody gets married at the end of the comedies.
I think that's kind of true. Of the comedies that I have read, which are always romances as well, they're all romantic comedies, I think. I can't think of one off the top of my head that's not, but everybody gets married at the end if they haven't died.
This holds true for that too. A lot of Italian operas or operettas, which are more comedic ones too, and more mass art over there in Italy are coming out at the same time. Shakespeare's writing his stuff, of course.
He's just hit after hit. He's Beyonce of the English stage play.
And the guy's got range too.
Whoever you think is the number one guy, that was who Shakespeare was. So I want to get into the summary because you started telling me ahead of time and I had to stop you because I was actually already kind of caught up in the drama. But before we do that, for Spicy Summer, I've been asking people what are some tropes, some romantic tropes that appear in the work. So what are some romantic tropes that appear, or for Shakespeare, I guess, I almost want to say might have been created by this play?
Well, Shakespeare is often looking back at other stories too that we don't see. Like that's kind of the thing with him is he's so big that he can eclipse maybe what was inspiring him at the time too.
So maybe he's like the propagandist. That's like a negative term, but what is it? Like he's the one who hyped it up, who hyped up the trope.
Yeah, like he's like the gasoline on the fire. We've got a love triangle, like an honest to goodness one is like
real love triangle.
A loves B, loves C, loves A. Like,
oh yay, I love these.
It's like a conga line of people not getting who they want.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, not for them, but really still good. We also got disguising yourself and being around your crush who you can't be openly with a crush about too, which is like
disguised cross-dressing.
Yes,
I only pitched that because I know one adaptation of this.
That is the most faithful part of the adaptation. That's like a key part of it too, is the cross-dressing of characters in this one. And it also like brings up what was played for comic effect back then.
However long ago.
And now is kind of saying like, hey, wait a minute, actually. Are all these people somewhere on the queer spectrum?
Right, who knows? Maybe. But yeah, the comedy aspect of like, I'm really into this person. You look a lot like them.
Or a lot of those like, man, if I ever met a girl just like you, male best friend,
right?
I'd get married in a heartbeat.
It would be so fast. So, okay, those two would be the big ones in this one you'd say then. Like love triangle and then like...
And mistaken identity.
Okay. But it is important because I think a lot of Shakespearean stuff does deal with like disguising one gender as the other.
And disguise in general is a very big portion of like a lot of different plays and stuff.
I'm excited to hear it. Would you give us a summary of Twelfth Night?
All right. So we open up on a kingdom of Illyria and a lovesick duke just laying on his couch listening to love songs all day because the girl he's interested in, the other like lady on the island, isn't returning his affection.
That's a bummer.
And so it's like, I just wish she would love me. Like, if music be the flute of love, play on. Cut away, though, to Viola, a girl who washed up on a shipwreck from the neighboring kingdom that has like a strained relationship with Illyria.
Oh, okay. Not war yet.
Basically, she has to have a reason to land on the island and say, like, I need to disguise myself as a boy in order to, like, move freely around here, too, because it's not safe to be a noble lady from my home kingdom here. I have to disguise myself. Boy, I really wish my fraternal twin brother had survived the shipwreck too.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So twins, one's gone.
So now the girl twin is pretending to be a boy twin.
Okay, she's pretending to be her brother, which is convenient because they look the same.
Yeah,
theoretically.
She picks a different name, Cesario. I'm going to keep calling her Viola because the names will get confusing, and so she basically spends the entire show in male clothing.
Okay.
She moves and she goes and like actually gets into the court of the Duke Orsino, who's the guy who was on the lovesick Duke.
Okay.
And while she's playing music in his court too, he's like, all of my old frumpy advisors and servants keep sending love letters to Lady Olivia, who keeps rebuffing them because she's mourning her brother, who's also died.
But there's two dead brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Orsino looks at this really cute, handsome young man playing the piano. It's like, you know what? You've got a lot of good advice about how to talk to women, and I feel like it would come better. Like if I send you with this love letter, it'll come across better.
Yeah.
So Viola goes to Olivia's house, reads the letter in super impassioned.
She knows how to make it hit.
Yeah, she knows how to make it hit, and it does. Olivia is like love at first sight for Cesario, aka Viola the dude, quote unquote.
It's a big bummer for Orsino.
But she's just like, okay, go send back to your master, but like maybe tell him try again if you're the messenger.
Oh, keep sending messages with you specifically.
Yeah. So he goes back. About this time, Sebastian, Viola's brother, washes up on shore with Antonio, the pirate captain who helped save him and is, quote unquote, strongly devoted to him.
What?
Like
her dead brother's alive?
Yes, and was rescued by a pirate who is kind of an
quote best friend, end quote.
Antonio, the pirate, would really like to be more than best friends. It's kind of implied in the play too. It's like Wiles is like, I just love your potential. Cool. But like, I want the best for you. I want the best for you, my friend.
Yeah.
So like again, we're starting to play with that, and Sebastian's just like, yeah, I gotta get into the sea though and try to find like any sort of work going around.
Twin brother who was dead, who's not dead, Sebastian, is like, I just need to actually try to make a life for myself again because I almost died.
Yeah, and Antonio's like, I'm gonna come and like kind of be your patron, even though like getting seen here will probably lead to my arrest and like execution because again, the Duke doesn't like me
because I'm a pirate.
Yeah. Eventually gets to the point where the third time Viola comes back, Olivia's like, I love you. And I want you to marry me.
I love you, Viola, who is under the guise of
a man
named Cesario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Viola at this point has fallen in love with Orsino.
The Duke.
Yeah, the Duke. He's like, man, like any woman would love to be with you. Maybe if you found like a younger, different looking person who was just really close to you, you might feel differently.
Sometimes dressed up as a man and took letters that you wrote that they thought were really good.
Hearing this, Sir Andrew, Lady Olivia's uncle's best friend, is like, I'm going to challenge this young man to a duel because I want to marry her.
Everybody wants to marry Olivia.
Yeah, she's a promising young lady.
She's getting it. Yeah.
The fool in her house too, Festi, was a really interesting character that we don't have time to get into. Starts like hyping them both up too. He's like, oh my gosh, Andrew's like the most deadly swordsman on the island. Are you sure you want to do this?
So the
and
fool there is basically like, fight.
And then he goes over to Andrew and he's like, oh my gosh, this young man Cesario has like unopened men. He's left a wake of blood. So they're both terrified when they get to the duel.
A verified killer.
They have a very bad duel too eventually until Antonio, who's looking for Viola's brother Sebastian, happens upon them and he's like, oh my gosh, I've found you. You're safe. Gets arrested. Because
the pirate was looking for Sebastian,
but he finds Viola
because they look the same. They're twins.
Yeah, in the middle of a duel too.
Oh, okay. Interrupts the duel.
And he's like, no, wait, Sebastian, tell them that you're with me. You can vouch for me. You have my wallet I gave you earlier. Viola doesn't know any of this. And she's like, I don't know. And Antonio's like, Sebastian, you've betrayed me.
Oh, no.
So they get drug off to the houses and stuff, too. At this point, Orsino has scooped up Sebastian in town. He's like, didn't I send you off to go, like,
because he looks like
Olivia?
his twin. He looks like female twin.
Yeah. So now they're going back to her house.
They're going back to Olivia's house.
Too.
Everything's going down at Olivia's house.
Viola pieces out here, too. Orsino gets there, and he's, like, talking to Antonio. Andrew walks up and he's like, we're not done with our duel. Gets wrecked by Sebastian.
By actual Sebastian.
Who's an actual good fighter.
Yeah, not like his twin sister who never learned, but was giving it her best.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So
Andrew's like, this is not going the way I thought it was earlier.
Andrew's like, wow, you were really playing me before. Okay.
Yeah, Andrew's out of the picture.
So creepy uncle best friend wanted to marry Olivia, came in, got his butt kicked, not by Viola, but by her twin brother.
Yeah.
Now he's out of the picture. Sebastian is wandering around confused with the Duke. The Duke is in love with Olivia. Olivia is trying to get together with Viola, who is pretending to be Cesario. And Viola / Cesario is in love with the Duke. Orsino. But she has left because this whole situation is get a lot like over her head, more than she wanted.
We're kind of in like the Scooby-Doo's hallway of doors scene here too.
And then somewhere around here, there's a pirate that is questionably close to Sebastian, boy twin brother, but he's been arrested. Okay.
Because Viola didn't know who he was.
She doesn't know who he is.
So at some point, all the parties get mixed up. Sebastian, the brother, comes and sees Olivia, who's like, hey, marry me, please. And all he sees is a very pretty, rich woman offering him a fairy tale ending to this, so he accepts.
He's like, perfect for me.
Enter Orsino, who's like, how could you?
You were my best friend.
You were my best friend.
You were my wingman.
And then just about that time, Viola runs into and like double takes. And then at this point, basically, Viola rips off her fake mustache. It's noted, though, too, like, Orsino still keeps calling her by her boy name during this, kind of like, yeah, we'll totally get married once you change your clothes. But, like, you'll always be, like, my private queen, but, like, if you wanted to keep dressing, it's fine.
If you want to still be, like, Cesario, I actually think I'm okay with that.
Olivia's weirdly okay with, like, oh, there's a handsome new guy who's not the person I super duper like, but, like, I'll settle.
He looks exactly like him.
There's no downsides here.
There's no, I guess.
So everybody's paired off heterosexually at the end here.
What happens to the pirate?
I don't really remember. I think he just gets like pardoned and he's like, it's okay too. And like,
he's like, I knew you'd never let me down.
Or probably swears to be like a loyal servant and friend of Sebastian. So, yeah.
Okay. Once the real Sebastian is like, I actually do have his wallet and he was with me. He is cool.
Yeah.
And then everyone gets married.
And then live happily ever after.
You were not kidding when you said the names were going to get wild. Oh. Is it a love triangle? I also think you were more correct at the beginning when you were saying it's like a love conga line. It's a love triangle that quickly unravels.
It looks like it's like the recycling arrows.
Yes.
Like, which is like not like a Hunger Games love triangle where it's like two boys want the same girl.
No, that's like a love V.
Yeah.
This is actually a love triangle. You were right. Honest to goodness love triangle. Viola loves Duke. Duke loves, everybody loves Olivia. So Duke loves Olivia. Olivia loves Viola.
And Viola loves the Duke.
Yeah. Back to Viola loves Duke. Okay. Wow. So
you can see where this is like the template for a lot of things. We've got like the second act, like betrayal or misunderstanding between like the main characters.
They did have the misunderstanding.
But like 3 of them too.
There's 3.
Like 2 or 3.
Well, because I guess that's also part of the comedy. That's like the dramedy of it. Is like, you could vouch for me. You know me. I don't know you.
My wallet's on you. You've got my wallet.
I've never had your wallet. Go on, tell Olivia that she should be with me. I'll marry you. What the heck, bro? Like, you were my dude.
You were my wingman.
You're my wingman. You stole my girl.
Those long nights talking with wine by the fireplace.
Just the 2 of us with no one else around. Well, so, I mean, we're almost out of time. I want to keep talking about it, but there was just a lot that happened. This is a Shakespearean thing, which means that I think for a lot of people, when you think about Shakespeare, it's something that seems kind of like difficult, unattainable, or like out of reach. Like it's not something that you feel like will be entertaining or fun. But you're one of the people I know who does really enjoy Shakespeare. And so what do you say to somebody if you were to try and encourage them to like look into more Shakespearean comedies or romance or romantic comedies?
I think a good thing that holds for any like kind of like way you want to get into Shakespeare, like any of the plays, like technically look up guides too. Like there's like Shakespeare like simplified and stuff too. The language is really useful, and the language I think is like very key to how you enjoy them, but it is dense and impenetrable, you know, or have a guide to help you like parse through what the big parts are, then maybe like pick out the language by yourself. Secondly, more thematically, these plays hold up for a reason. It is fun to hear this stuff too. It is more complicated by the way we view gender and sexuality now, and this is Elizabethan like English values about what sex and sexuality should be. And so unfortunately it does play off the joke of like, wouldn't it be silly if we were gay? But I will say though, it is still a play about people entertaining these notions, maybe going like slightly left or right of where they would be on the Kinsey scale in terms of how they accept people around them. Even if it's brushed away, the moment of like the climax or denouement is these characters having to come with like a grappling with their sexuality. As Olivia's like, oh, the man I was attracted to was a woman.
But I feel like, at least the way that you described it, it does leave it kind of open-ended, right? It doesn't necessarily say like, that's bad. I think it opens up a good conversation into that. If we go back to the Duke, he's like, I still kind of want to call you by your dude name. I don't really mind that you cross-dress. This is like, it could play well to like modern sensibilities of like how flexible we see gender roles. I think it's open to conversation and it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, and I think it's valuable as an artifact of its time that the beat before everybody laughs at the potential of being gay is a beat of everybody being like, wait, am I?
Maybe I am.
And I think that's a really valuable thing to like, these questions have always been there. And especially when you consider that like the extra manifold layer of when Shakespeare was performing, no women were allowed to play any roles.
Yeah, everybody was cross-dressing.
Including Lady Olivia.
I was just going to say, Lady Olivia, the hottest lady in town. Everybody loves her.
Except until Viola comes along, which is played by a young man of the theater company playing as a woman who's a man.
There's a lot of room for like gender queering in this as well.
Yeah.
But we are out of time. So Jared, before we go, dialing it back in again into a smaller scope. If you were to give somebody a recommendation for why they should watch or read Twelfth Night, what would that be?
It's a good place to see where it all came from. To like, back before everything was like a trope or cliche, when it was just done earnestly and it was just done for the first time. Yeah, like, go back and try it. See what the source was.
Twelfth Night. See what the source was. All right. Jared, thank you so much for coming back on. It is such a pleasure to have you. But unfortunately, that's all that we have time for today. So thank you for coming on. And thank you to everybody else out there for joining us. This has been our spicy summer. I've been your host, Amanda Stevens. This was Tales of Our Time on Radio Taiwan International. I hope you enjoyed hearing more from my guest, Jared Friesen.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed learning more about Twelfth Night. See what the source was. A Tale of Our Time. We'll see you next time.